It's late October here in rural Illinois. Starting to get a little chilly. It's about 7 o'clock p.m. And welcome to another Signs of Life. And two signs that are on my mind right now as I'm driving. I just came from visiting the local nursing home. And not just a nursing home, but it's also like an assisted living center where you have a variety of elderly people who need a variety of kind of care, and some are very independent, others not independent at all. But and then on my way home, I passed another sign that said, "Watch for a bus stop ahead," a bus stop warning sign for children getting on and off the school bus. And as I thought about the nursing home sign, and as I thought about the school bus sign, I thought about our culture and how we care for the youngest among us and how we care for the oldest among us. Basically, those whom we might describe as the physically weak among us, the elderly because of their aging, and then the young because they're fragile and inexperienced in our world and very innocent with regard to the ways of our world. And Psalm 25:16 came to mind, which says, "Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted." And I also think of James, who says that true and undefiled religion is to take care of widows and orphans, which is very specific language about elderly who have, or not just elderly, but people who have lost a spouse or children that are in great need without parents. As I think of our culture, though, how are we doing at caring for the elderly and for innocent children? Are we holy? Are we peculiar and unique and godly and selfless with regard to children and with regard to the elderly? Or is what we see in our culture more or less selfishness, that is exploiting the elderly, exploiting children for our own agendas and our own wants and lusts and desires? And I'm afraid to say that broadly as a culture, I fear that the latter is true, that we are a selfish culture, that children are succumbing to our own lusts. Abortion comes to mind. I mean, I can't help it but think of it. And the forgetting of the elderly as they age and become old and then are in need of great care. Who's visiting them, in the nursing home? Who's going to see them? When do they get to see little children? When do they get to see visitors? When do they get to have conversation about their faith, about what's going on in their lives? Or have we forgotten about them? It's a deep pastoral concern. How are we caring for the innocent and the weak among us? And I think it's a commentary on culture, that when we are caring for the weakest among us, we are at our strongest. And when we are not, we are at truly our weakest and most depraved. Remember the example of the Lord Jesus. I think it's in 2 Corinthians 8 or 9. I think it's chapter 8, verse 7 or somewhere around there, that says that the Lord Jesus became rich became poor so that we might become rich in him. And I wonder with our children and with our elderly, are we becoming poor that they might become rich through our love and our actions and our behavior and our habits? So this is my sign of life today. The sign of life is when we care for children, when we care for the elderly, that's a sign of life. But when we are forgetting them or exploiting them, it's a sign of death. It's a sign of death. So look for signs of life. See you next time.